everyone, welcome to this short video. My name is Nancy and this is my colleague Claire, and we're going to talk to you today about some hints and tips from our course Introduction to People Management in Publishing. And what we're going to talk about today is really that first transition into being a manager, because it can be quite a scary place when you get going. So we've just got 5 things to bear in mind. So I'm going to hand over to Claire, who's going to kick us off with our first bit of advice.
Yeah, hi everybody, I'm Claire. So our first step is about reflection. So it's always really exciting to be promoted or to have landed a great new job. Congratulations, by the way. And you probably want to get on with that role as soon as possible. But our first step asks you to stop, take a step back and to reflect. You've probably got your new role because you've shown that you're a great editor or a great marketer or a great production person. But just because you've mastered these technical skills in the publishing world, it doesn't automatically follow that you're going to be a good manager too. The starting point for all our management training is that management is a skill like any other. And like any other skill, you need to learn and practice it to get better. Managers are definitely made, not born. The good news is that this means that everyone with a bit of self-awareness and that practice can get better at it. It helps, though, to think about what being a manager means. What do you think management is all about? What are managers there to do? Think about your own experience of being managed and those managers you've had, good and perhaps a bit less good, that you've seen in action. What can you learn from that? Good management also relies on self-awareness, so reflect too on your own skills and experience. What do you know? Where are you strong already? Where might you need a bit more development and support? Your instincts are probably pretty good, but do consider some training so that you can really hit the ground running. And I think we can help with that, can't we, Nancy?
We absolutely can, yeah, and we'd love to see you. So the next tip we have for you is take a bit of time to assess, and it sort of follows on from what Claire was saying about reflecting on yourself, reflecting on what management is. Also step back and take a little look at the situation that you're going into. So we always say management is situational. You've got to you've got to work with what you've got, and that includes the people around you, the company culture, the challenges the company's facing. All of that stuff will play into how you manage. So take a minute to just stop and look around, and particularly think about your team. What levels of experience do you have there? Do you have people who really know what they're doing? Do you have people who are maybe more new to the business and still learning? They're going to require different types of attention from you. Think also about who are your key relationships. This might look a bit different as a manager than it looked when you were an individual contributor. So, who are the other managers that you need to work closely with? Who's your direct line manager? How will you navigate those relationships? And I think a little bit about your boss, your direct line manager, because that's a really important relationship that often we forget because we're so keen to work with our team and help them develop. But you do need to think about your manager as well. What can you do to support them? What do you need from them in terms of succeeding as a manager? How can they support you? And just do a bit of reflecting on that before you dive in and start making changes. Just take stock a little bit of what's going on around you and what that might mean for the different people that you're going to manage.
Great. Yeah, and once you've taken stock of that context a bit, and of course you have to keep taking stock of it because that will keep changing too, then it's time to think about making a plan. It's always really tempting, I think, when you become a manager for the first time to rush to action. Certainly that was my instinct, to show that you can affect change, get things done, make things happen. But our advice is don't try to do too much too soon. You may well have views on how you can improve what you do as a team, and that's important, but the how you do it matters just as much. And as a new manager, you're not just responsible for your own work for the first time, you're now responsible for getting things done through other people. So you need to balance spending time on focusing on your own work and time spent with the people you'll be relying on to get their tasks done too. That's why it's really important at this planning stage to listen and to observe. Get to know your people, as Nancy said. They'll be different to you, so think about that. What are their strengths? What are their experiences? Where might they need more support? Are there any immediate issues to resolve? You might be coming into a new situation that's quite tricky. Remember that there's a power dynamic involved here, though, so your people might not be able or willing to completely be open with you about any issues or how they're feeling. And your job is to find out. So think about the body language on display as well as what people are saying and how and when they say it. So really think about that complete package of how people communicate with you so that you can get to know the people that you're responsible for. And then with all this information under your belt, you can then plan to act. So focus on what you'd like to achieve, say, in a 6-month window, and take stock and adjust as you go along, as you learn more about your situation and learn more about your people. So, and do keep focusing on those people as well as the tasks you have to get done.
Yeah, absolutely. That planning stage is really important, I think. So the next bit of sort of advice we have is communicate, communicate, communicate. And I can't overemphasize this enough. You can't over communicate your team and the people around you. So really work hard at that. So don't leave space for people to wonder what you're doing or why you're doing it. You know, talk to them about what your plans are, how you hope they're going to benefit the team and the organization and the individuals. Get some input from them. You know, the people working for you will know very well the issues they face day to day. You know, have you got the right balance of sort of supporting them and driving the team forward? So don't leave opportunities for people to wonder, I think, is our main advice. And also I think if you're very willing and open to communication, it sets that culture of guidance in place where people will communicate with you. You know, it becomes a reciprocal discussion, and you really want that. You want people to be able to come to you and tell you what's going on with them, and tell you when they're struggling a bit, or tell you when they need some help. So set that culture in place right from the start. And don't be afraid to sort of share things that aren't quite final. Maybe you're working on your plan, maybe you want to get you know, some advice, some input from others. That's okay too. You don't have to have all the answers at this stage. You're still developing what you're going to do. So all of that communication, whether it's with your team members, with your manager, with your peers, whoever it might be with, just keep those lines of communication open, get that input as much as you can, and that will really help you to, you know, to get the plan in the best state that it can be before you start to execute. So as we say, you can't over communicate as a manager.
No, you really can't.
So if you think you've said it, say it one more time.
And again, one more time again. Thanks, Nancy. Our final step is perhaps something you might feel is a bit left field, but we feel very strongly that this is one of the things that we wish someone had told us when we first became managers in publishing. And it's about looking after yourself. So management's hard. There's no getting away from that. There's an awful lot to take on board. And as soon as you step up, you enter what we call the squeezed middle, where you sit between the people for whom you're responsible and the people to whom you're accountable. And that's not always a very comfortable place to be, because it manifests itself in two main ways. First of all, it's about balancing the needs of your people and your boss. And bear in mind, those needs might always align. So you have to kind of manage that, and that can be quite tricky. And it's also that thing we were talked about already, doing your day job while finding time to be an active and engaged manager. You know, we're making a wild guess here that no one's taken away any of your day job to give you time to manage, because that doesn't tend to happen. So somehow you're going to have to find the time and the space and the emotional energy to navigate all this. And that's why you need to look after yourself. And as we said, this is, if someone had told us one thing when we first stepped up, we wish it was this. So things to think about. Need to be more aware than ever of the signs that healthy levels of stress might be tipping over into something less healthy. So what are the signs that you about yourself, you know, when you're thinking that, you know, this is good, I feel motivated and good to act, and healthy levels of stress? When is that tipping over into something less helpful? You need to think about a self-care regime that works for you. Now, this will be personal to you. It's not won't be the same as anybody else's. But the crucial thing is to give yourself permission to take the time and the space to do things that will help you keep on an even keel. I think it's very easy to try and be a hero, just keep trying pressing through, you know, saying, all right, I'll just finish this and I'll just finish that, when actually taking a step back and doing something that'll replenish your energy, even just as something as simple as going for a walk or getting outside a building, you know, out of the office for a while, actually will probably make you more productive in the end. So give yourself permission to do that. Also think about a new support network. For example, if you've been promoted internally, it might not be really appropriate for you to rely on the same people that you're always used to. So think about the support you'll need as you step up into management, and the new things you'll need support for, and think about who can provide that. So are there other managers in your organisation at a similar level who can support you? That can be a really positive support network. Who do you know who are going through similar things in other organisations that you might know? Who can you rely on outside work? The important thing is to think about, what do I need? What can I offer other people? And how can we help each other to create that new network? So I think what we just say to finish is, looking after yourself is not an indulgence. We like to think of it as, we call it the oxygen mask principle, don't we, Nancy? Just as you need to put on your own oxygen mask before you can help other people, you need to be in good form yourself before you can be an effective manager.
Yeah, really important, as you say, really probably the most important tip we can give.
Yeah.
So there you have it, just some thoughts from us on stepping up into management. As we say, it can be an exciting time, but it can be quite a scary time as well. So think about those different things that you can do. Think about looking after yourself. Think about how you're going to communicate with your team, how you're going to get input. Think about that plan that you want to put in place. But remember, don't pile in trying to do everything on day one. Take some time to look around, learn about the people and think about what you want to achieve. Do that assessment of your situation and context. How might that feed into your management practice? And do that reflection around what is management and how well prepared are you to go forward with that. So these are just some little tips that will hopefully get you started on the right foot. And as Claire says, things maybe we learned the hard way by not always taking the time for all of these things. So we hope that's helpful in your transition into a management role. And as Claire said, we'd love to see you come to some of our training if you need a bit more support.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.